come down to the lake.
Oh, so do I. Oh.
You have to walk away from the TV, you can't watch
And it was right, John.
Yeah,
it's not.
exactly.
Hi. Yeah. Good. How are you? No worries.
Okay, I think we're about ready, Kathy.
Okay. Yep.
You good? All right, let's start the meeting. If everyone can stand, join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Has everyone signed in? Thank you.
Okay, we just want to move into the changes we made.
Okay.
Page 6. Second line down, 1010 400. Everyone good at 750 on that?
Hold on. Oh, sorry, I got my page numbers in the wrong.
We put them up top this time so we can see them.
Yep.
Okay, so that's good. All right. $12,100. We said 26,500 on that, but that needs to be adjusted to 26,946. We didn't figure in the 3%.
What's that, 20?
26,946.
No, I mean the line,
Oh, supervisor services, 12,100.
But why would we do a raise when we just set the salary a few weeks ago?
This is next year's budget.
I understand that, but you usually get a salary for a year, so this salary would expire like October of next year, current one, and there's only a couple months left in the year before the
Okay,
next budget.
so why would you separate one employee from the rest of the employees?
Because one employee was
She just
hired
got
2 months
hired.
before the end of the year. The other employees have all been here for the whole
Right.
year.
No, I disagree. If we're giving all employees 3% pay raise, she deserves a 3% pay raise.
Well, I'm just going to tell you, in the corporate world, you get a raise after you've been there a year, and this is a new position. It's just hired within the last few weeks, so you would not normally do a raise with somebody that, because the salary was just set.
All right, well, I disagree. Steve?
She's doing a job, she's doing more than she should be. I think she should get it. Like you said,
Can you explain
good
to
for
me
one
what?
is good for all.
Yeah, but everybody
She
else
just
is getting
started.
it because
I don't care, Ed.
everybody else is getting a raise because they've been doing a job for a year. So after a year, then you would normally get your increase at the end of that year.
Jeff?
What are we paying her right now?
20?
20?
Yep, it's a 60-cent raise.
What would it take?
60 cents.
How much?
60 cents.
I'll vote for that.
Okay. Ed?
Absolutely not.
Okay, it passes. 26,946. Supervisor contractual. Printed out some sheets. We were gonna drop that down, but I checked it just to make sure. 2,400. The only numbers we have to go off of is 23. In 23, we spent 11,193 out of that.
On what?
Lake Country Media, credit cards, Staples,
Yeah, well, I'm not asking,
bank
Sorry,
transactions,
I'm not-
Williamson Law.
yeah, I'm not asking the category, I guess. I'm asking specifically what we bought. So yes, we might have spent that on a credit card, but that doesn't mean that those purchases are recurring. So I'm asking,
CHPC, Williamson Law, these are reoccurring transactions.
well, CHPC aren't they getting charged to, they're getting charged to building contractual, because those are the ones that I went back and looked up like I said I would. They're getting charged to 16,20,400. That's where their annual 1650 is being charged.
16,2,400. Who, would you say CHPC?
Yeah, that's their contract with us is being charged to 16,20,400.
They're being charged, must be for different services. They're being charged.
Well, I'm sure there might have been something you might have purchased, during the year that they would charge specifically to your budget line, but it's not that 1650 for the annual the annual contract that they do. It might have been a
CHPC
one-off.
378, CHPC 1299, CHPC 159, CHPC 1162, CHPC 50.
What was the 1299 for though? It might have been a computer. You're not going to buy that again. You've already bought one. I know there were in several times I saw new chairs in the beginning of the year when I was looking through invoices. What I'm saying is those purchases are one-time purchases that you're not going to buy again, or at least we shouldn't be doing those every year. I would hope. That's why it's not just a matter of what the dollars were, it's what was it that we purchased, so that you can determine whether it's a recurring charge or not. And I would think if they have a LGSS should be able to look at a general ledger that would tell them not just the vendor, but what it was that was purchased. There should be some kind of description in there to tell you what it was.
There is not on Williamson Law.
Well, that's just the abstract you're looking at,
This
Scott.
is the account ledger for
Yeah, yeah, but that's not well, I don't think that's your general ledger. I think your
general fund account ledger for this 12/2400.
and it doesn't tell you in a breakout of what
Mhm.
is in there.
Card member, training, mileage, Williamson Law, got all the contracts, CHPC, Williamson Law. I think we should probably keep that at 9,000. Because if we have to pull money out of that later on, that's money we're pulling out of the A fund that we're depleting the A fund, we're not covering it by tax. We can only do that so often. I think we should probably leave that the same. Granted, this year we've only spent 3,500, but we don't have exact numbers. I mean,
Are we going off to 23, or
this was 23.
are you gonna, guess on 24?
We can't.
You can't.
No.
You can't, but Steve, you can't go by the previous years just looking at the spend either. Maybe I'm not saying this the right way. I'm not
I
sure.
understand what you're saying.
If you're
You're
having a
saying
one-time,
if we put money aside
Yeah,
to
you don't
buy
put it-
chairs, we're not gonna buy them this year, why would we do it?
right, so you really have to, you can't look at, well, we've been spending 10 grand, because maybe we've bought a couple of years, we've bought bigger things that we don't plan on buying again.
Do we have things on that list that we wouldn't be purchasing again?
There's training. Office supplies, I'm sure. Association of Towns membership, all of Williamson Law book. It said CHPC every time they gotta come in, computer, printer.
Okay, well, the
Whatever
computer
they
we
gotta-
won't buy again, the printer hopefully we're not buying again.
How much were they?
Uh,
The computer was probably the $12.99.
Cables, okay, monitors, cables. This one doesn't have what it is. Drum units each, those are $100 each for the printers. And so Elan Financials, the card, you said?
It's a credit card.
Credit card
Mhm.
services. Comptroller. Well, if you guys wanna move it to 5 grand, we move it to 5 grand, but if we gotta start pulling money out of the A fund partway through, that's money that we're not taxing. We're
Well,
just
how
emptying.
much, what she
We
was saying,
budgeted
like the computer
9,000.
stuff, how much of it was spent on that stuff, the monitors, computers that we're not gonna buy again? And if we drop
Monitors
it down
for
from that
400.
amount, I'm fine with it.
378 for monitors. Doesn't say what the 1162 was for CHPC.
It's gotta be a computer
Okay, so say
and or printer.
2 grand. See what else.
I'm supposed to go down to 7,500.
50. That's gonna be so. If you take 2 grand off of that, yeah, 7. See attached 200.
I'm just going by what you're reading off there, and as you're rattling it through there, that's a couple grand.
Right, so if it's at 9, we should go to at least 7.
I'm good with 7. Supervisor contractual. 7. Supervisor contractual. Attorney, we had at 80. 1520 buildings contractual. Okay, buildings contractual. That was the next one.
Didn't we have that done 110?
Yes, we did. But we need to reconsider that.
For what?
2023. I got the spend for 2023. Pest control services, CHPC, National Grid, the cleaning crew, tax maps, the country media. Did you figure out what that GMES Batavia was?
There was something that Dale has, it's a
Okay.
Dale bill.
Cleaning crew.
Wait a minute.
Amherst
Wait,
Alarm.
hold on.
Do you have it, Linda? Jim, yes?
No, but
Oh.
isn't the cleaning people, they're being billed to 16,2,400.
Yeah, that's what I'm going over.
Oh, I thought we were on six. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong
Building,
line.
that's right.
Yeah, 16,400, yeah.
Yeah, okay, sorry, yes. Yeah, so I went back and I looked and I pulled out what I could from October, November, and December last year, so that the utility bills would be roughly the same as what we probably would experience this year, okay? Now, again, all the bills do not seem to be in there, because when I looked through the abstract reports, there's still things that are not on there, so I'm assuming I got everything. But I had CHPC, Toshiba, the cleaning crew, Charter, which I believe is some kind of a phone.
It's a Spectrum bill.
Okay, Spectrum. The Verizon bill was not in there, but if I remember right, it's somewhere around $120 a month, give or take. National Grid, Cintas for the mats, EcoServe for the pest control, NICEG, Custom Tech. I don't know what that is, but that seems to be recurring.
That's where their
Remember.
GPSs on there.
Okay, yep. And Amherst Alarm. I saw Amherst Alarm in there, but the amount I wasn't sure about, so I guessed at it. I get about $6,800. If you multiply that times 3, you're somewhere around $20,000 to $21,000 still to come in. So if we're at 73 and we add another 20,000 on it, we're still at 93. So why would we not be able to go down to at least 110?
There's no repairs to the building.
Yeah, if all the
Carpets,
major things have been picked up,
Generator,
Grid 24.
probably paid by insurance. For the fire.
Okay, January was 2,800 for National Grid. February was just under 2,800. March was just under 2,800.
but keep in mind, January, February, March tend to be colder. So I can tell you, so for CHPC, I put in 1,650. That's what they bill us every month. For Toshiba, it's roughly around 500. I couldn't find exactly, but it was like 440. Sometimes there could have been like inks or something put in there. Okay, the cleaning is 520. The Charter is 380. The Verizon bill, I put in 150 to be conservative. The National Grid, I put in 2,400 because that's what it's been running for October, November, December. That's around where it was. Cintas is 140. EcoServe is 90. NICEG, I put in 300. That Custom Tech, I put in 185 because it's been running around, and I rounded up a little bit. And Amherst Alarm, I guessed at 500, which I think would be very conservative. So
The cheapest National Grid is at 2,400 or 20, whatever it was you were talking about.
are you looking at last year?
I'm looking at 23 because I don't have 24. And gas and electric has gone up. What'd you say NICEAG was?
National Grid was 2349 in November last year. And we had we had our air conditioning on last meeting 2 weeks ago. So our heat can't be running that high. And you can see for the weather over the next few weeks is not going to be,
Okay,
not down in the teens.
NICEAG, February was 1,400. March was 1,800. April was 1,027 plus another 500. 780 in May.
I guess I'm a little confused, these actuals for the expenses, why are they not I mean, if we've put all the vouchers in, if we have all the abstracts in and we ran these numbers based on the abstracts that were put in, are we not comfortable that we have all our bills in for the year?
What are you talking about?
The actual numbers of the column for actuals. I mean, those should be, if we paid bills and we ran this through after the September bills, so the expenses that are in here should be,
This was, September 22nd, I think you ran.
so we're only estimating 3 more months.
So you're figuring 110.
That's what I'm thinking. I still cannot get over the fact that we are so much higher than 2 of our local
Well, that
towns.
stuff was paid with ARPA too, right?
Not off of this line number, no. Anything off of that line number is out of the budget. 16,2400 is budget contractual.
The rugs were paid by ARPA, right?
Those are different rugs. These are the rugs that you wipe your feet on. That's a contract. They
Oh,
come in and change
Cintas?
those out.
Yeah, they're those.
Yeah, I know that. I'm
Yeah.
talking about the rugs, in a courtroom stuff.
I don't know about those.
What are we talking about? The courtroom? Yeah, that was ARPA money.
Right.
That's not part of building contractual.
So they're not in this line?
No. That was ARPA funds. You good with 110?
I think this election's gonna determine where heating bills are gonna be. It's 72. Yeah, I'll go with 110.
Okay.
So what happens if we go over?
Then we have to pull out of the A fund, and we're not taxing for that, so that's gonna reduce the A fund.
Or we need to look at the spending and decide maybe we don't need
Right.
to buy whatever we're
Right.
buying. I mean, the utilities you can't control, those are gonna be what they are, right? But the other things, maybe we have to look at and say, we just aren't gonna get that this year.
Scott, you are taxing the A fund.
Yes. But we're
Did you
not,
just say you're not taxing the A fund?
we're not taxing to replace that money is what I'm saying. I didn't explain it correctly. If we
Okay.
do 140, we didn't tax the extra 30 grand we're gonna pull out of there.
Okay, I just thought I heard you say you're not taxing the
Oh,
A
yeah.
fund, and I didn't think that was correct, that's
Not-
all.
We're not replacing what we'd be pulling out, so.
Okay,
So we're good at 110. I marked that down so it'll be on the final number, 110. Seven. Okay, so those 3. That's page 6. Page 7. Cemetery and personal services, we left that at 16,000, 8810 100. Okay. Youth contractual, you said Linda, the 9,500 was good on that?
Yes.
Okay. Planning and contractual, 4,000, we're good on that?
Yeah,
That's a planning board, all their training and
yeah, I
everything.
think we said
Okay.
yes.
Page 8. Page 9. 5142, 100 and 400, snow removal. Linda, you wanted to move that to DA?
Yes.
And,
No, move it to DB.
I mean DB, and I'm totally against that. Eddie?
I would have liked to have Tina here to ask some questions. I don't understand why she ain't here.
Like I told you, she had a dental emergency. She can't speak.
Okay, I have something I wanna, so I went back and looked. Do you have the copy of what Scott gave us at the last meeting? Where the numbers for the snow plowing, when we moved it from DA to DB? When Tina recalculated and the taxes, they thought doubled, I guess. And you were very concerned that the outside tax number was gonna go so high,
Right.
remember?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I went back and I looked at that sheet. I'm not sure, I wish Tina was here because I have some questions on the calculation. our budget in what we're working in right now is 3.7 million roughly, okay? On the sheet that she gave us with the snowplow move, the budget went to 4.4 million. So instead of moving 300 from one line to another, she increased our budget by $655,000. So of course it skews your tax number, okay? There was a couple things. So the DA line is, we had roughly 941,000 in there, okay? They left it at 937. They must have made a couple adjustments of something else we did. So they left the number at 937, okay? And then the DB line was 600, so that should have been decreased by 300, and 300 should have been added to the highway outside for this scenario. And instead of that, they went from 678,000 to 1,333,000. The other thing that happened is on the same, I guess my point is, and I'll come back and explain the differences. When I redid this, by moving the numbers, your tax, the outside, I'm sorry, the DA, the A fund, okay, the townwide taxes, last year were 221. This year, and this is not any of the changes we're making tonight, just moving the snow plowing. The A fund, the townwide taxes would be from 221, they would go to 239, okay? The outside town would go from 196 last year, or this current year, they're at 196, they would go to 178. And that's with no changes that we're making today. So I'm concerned or questioning, I guess. I'd like her to explain to me how she came up with 4.46 for taxes with outside. It just doesn't make sense to me. So, can you guys look at your DA line?
Mhm.
Okay. In our budget right now, we said we were going to have 941 in appropriations, 140 in revenues, and no money out of the reserve fund, right, or the fund balance. We weren't going to take anything. We were just going to tax it all, which is fine. In Tina's revision, she left the appropriations she left it at 937, which is okay. She left 140 revenue. She took $797,000 out of fund balance, which again confuses me, because if you then go look at the fund balance from what we got her last month or 2 weeks ago, by taking that much out of fund balance, we go negative in fund balance by 200 and some $1,000. We can't do that.
Yep, we can't do that.
So see right here. Sorry, I was trying to rush through this today and I didn't get copies made. So we never, in our original, if you look at our original, we weren't using any fund balance, and we should have left it that way. So this really misstates this whole tax number. And down here, they increased our spending by 650,000, which I'm not sure where that came from, saying that you needed to raise 800,000, and they took out any fund balance that we were using. Well, we were going to use some money out of fund balance to help offset the outside town. Okay? And then they said, okay, so now we have to raise 108,000. That's how she ended up with $4.40 tax on per thousand.
Increase.
Yeah.
I don't have that one, can I?
Here.
See it?
Yes, certainly. Sorry, but I tried to. So if you look at the number one,
Yep.
That 1,000,003, we went from where we were at 678,000 to 1,000,003. And you could just look at the total, 3.3 to 4. So somebody didn't move money correctly. You know, they must have forgot to take it out, or they have somewhere they have a mistake in their formulas. But when you do it the right way, the taxes actually go down from this current year. Your outside taxes actually go down by 18 cents. the townwide goes up by 18, the out of town goes down by 18. It doesn't double or whatever triple or whatever she said it was gonna do. And you can see what I did here, all I did was I changed these two, everything else stayed the same. I recreated the spreadsheet, made sure all my formulas totaled, so I came out with exactly what we're working with right now. All I did was move 303,000 from here to here, and that's what your taxes are. So for the fact that your outside town taxes go down by 18 cents, I think it should be moved. You're asking the people that live in the town of Shelby, in the village, to cover snow plowing for the village and the whole town of Shelby.
It's too bad Tina's not here on that. But the village residents drive on town roads. They have to leave the town, to leave the village.
Sure they
gotta
do.
Drive on town roads.
But you drove for years coming into the village to drive on.
Outside
I mean,
the
the
village.
fact is,
Yeah.
the fact is, you don't pay village taxes.
My rent paid village taxes.
Well, your rent, that's
Yeah.
different. You're not taxed on the value of your property, but that's here nor there. You've got Shelby residents paying to plow roads in Shelby that happen to be inside the village, but those are town of Shelby roads, right? They're town of Shelby residents. And then you're going to ask them to then pay the whole town. And while I'm on that, I want to step back and I want to apologize to the board because I quoted from a text that I received from Brian Napoli about what Ridgeway did. He said they charge whatever the fund is outside the village, the town outside the village. So I took what he said. When I went back over the weekend and finally they posted their budget online, Ridgeway charges their snow plowing to the whole town. So I want to be clear that I did not know that. I went by what Brian told me. He must have been confused by my question. Maybe he was answering, but whatever, there was a confusion between him and I just told you what I was told. And when I went back and looked, so I want to be clear.
People in the village pay.
Correct.
Yeah, they pay the
Correct.
same.
Correct.
It's been done here in the past, yeah.
But I have other examples, and my point of my examples is just to say there are towns that do it both ways. East Aurora does it, where they only charge outside of the village, outside the town. Orchard Park does it that way.
Those are bigger towns.
Onondaga County, every town within Onondaga County does it that way. I'm just saying, I'm not saying that makes a difference. We shouldn't follow what other towns do. What we should do is make a decision what we believe is right.
I understand what you're saying, and actually that's, if we had hard numbers, I might tend to agree with you. I don't think this is the year to change our budget till we have actual numbers
But you're
and consider it for next year.
Well,
It gives us time.
but you're penalizing the people, the Shelby taxpayers within the village because we didn't get our act together and get our financials up correct a year and a half ago.
Yeah, but I understand what you're saying, and I agree with it, but I also think that we should I think that we should stay here because you're always harping about hard numbers and we don't have them. If we wait.
I'm not taking the numbers out of the budget, Steve. I'm just taking them
I'm just
from
saying,
one place to another.
I would rather just leave it as it is for this year. And then when we have hard numbers for next year.
But what numbers do you want to see? Because
I don't know what the numbers are going to be for next year.
No. I guess I'm asking you, we have a budget right here that says we're spending 3.8 million, 3.765 million, right?
Okay.
And whether you take it from one fund or another, the tax calculation is the tax calculation. All I'm doing is moving it from one line to the other. And I'm telling you the changes, and you can have Tina run it and
You're
Ever-
saying people outside the village, their taxes will not go up.
from this year, no, they're going to go down 18 cents. And honestly, if we go back, there's some other changes. When you go back and you put in there that the fact that we
I mean,
reduce,
is it something we can amend once we pass this budget? Can we amend it later? And do that then?
I guess you can, I don't know that. I'm not gonna answer that
But
question.
I'd
I'm not
like to know-
100% sure.
Believe me, what you're saying, I like what you're saying. I wouldn't mind meeting with the village and Ridgeway, all three of us get together and discuss
But
this.
do you see but I guess if you look at what we're doing right now, we are not taxing the out-of-town residents at all, which is okay, because you're taking it all out of a fund balance that got built up there. And you are taking village residents up $1.20 a thousand. So I guess, and I get it. I understand why it kind of goes this way. People tend to forget, even the people that live in the village tend to forget they are town residents. They do belong to a town. And the town, I think, forgets, they think of themselves as starting on Maple Ridge Road and going to the wildlife refuge. And on the other side, they think they start at like the Sacred Heart Club and they go to the other side of 104. That's not true. We have residents that live within the village of Medina. And you right now are charging them to plow a portion of Shelby by themselves, and then you're charging them another portion of what happens outside. I just don't think that's fair.
Ed? What do you want to do? You want to leave it for this year and look at it next year? Or do you change it?
I think we need to get Tina or we'll have another meeting maybe.
I mean, without having hard numbers, Linda's figuring this out, but she herself said that she's not.
No, I can tell you my numbers are right on this one because I took her spreadsheet exactly the way they did it, and I made sure before I did any changes, I tied out to exactly what she's handing us today.
What she's handing it.
Yeah.
Okay? And I made the move that you're supposed to make. We were just moving from, there's no way we could move $300,000 from the A to the B fund and end up adding $650,000 to our budget line. That cannot, it just is, it's impossible to happen.
So
There's not
Ed,
enough money in fund balance.
Ed, what do you want to do?
I think we need to have another meeting and make sure Tina's here.
But what does she have to do with it? I'm telling you what the
Yeah.
numbers are.
Yeah.
It's a matter of, do you think that the village residents that live within the town of Shelby should pay to plow the village portion of Shelby and the outside portion of Shelby?
Oh, I've been saying it for years, they shouldn't be paying for it.
Okay, so you were Linda.
And keep in mind one other thing, that's without, when you get down, because we haven't gotten that far yet, when we get down,
Ridgeway doing about this?
They're leaving it under DA
Why?
because they're
I
allowed
mean,
to.
if they did what Linda's saying, wouldn't that give the village people a
Yes.
break too for Ridgeway?
yes, it would,
I don't understand their thinking.
because nobody,
Or I don't,
because there's,
so I can understand her thinking.
I'm guessing there's nobody on the board there that realizes what's happening. When you get down to,
Just what you're saying, I mean, we haven't had an accountant, you know what I mean? You're saying the taxes for the outside people.
that's what I am, as an accountant.
I mean, our account, I'm sorry, my apologies.
That's okay.
Right. You're telling me that our outside taxes would go down 18 cents? And what would happen to the people in the village?
Ours are gonna go up 18 cents.
As opposed to what,
And that's moving the snow,
$1.20?
that's, as opposed to,
Just moving the snow.
as opposed to $1.20, yes,
plowing.
yes.
I think we need to leave it the way it is this year. The way we're going until we figure out what's going on.
But I guess I'm confused why we're not adding anything to the budget. Why would you need to leave? We're still leaving the same dollar amount. We're not changing the amount that we're budgeting for snow plowing. We're just changing who's paying for it. That has nothing to do with the actual numbers that have come in so far. Because that would depend on how much money you're going to budget. But where it falls as to whether it's A or B fund, that has nothing to do with with getting actual numbers or knowing what we've, that these actuals are not It's a,
What do you think? I think leave it the way it is.
Yeah, but why?
What are we
I
gonna,
mean, I'm listening to what she's saying, and if I'm hearing correctly, it benefits the people in town, and it doesn't hurt, the people outside. I mean, do you understand what I'm saying?
I'm understanding.
Yeah, and
I'm just wondering.
I just don't know, I guess I'd have to explain it in my head why we wouldn't do it. If I hear a good explanation why we wouldn't do it, I'd be happy to
and
do
I'll
it.
tell you what, if you move on, where is it? Outside the town, we talked about, maintenance of roads, DB 5110-400, right? We talked about the fact that there's 210,000, remember this one? And we agreed that since he only spent 50 this year, we're gonna take the 150 that dropped down to the fund balance, and we're gonna put that in. When you do that, that decreases your outside taxes even more.
Your outside taxes.
If you look up in revenues up above, that's where that original 200,000 comes from the B fund reserves, and 146 from the DB.
No,
That's
that
what's
one,
covering the B taxes.
the 146?
The 200 interfund transfer
Yes.
Wouldn't
and
understand.
146. It's
No, that interfund transfer is coming from the A fund into the B fund.
no, it can't. A fund cannot go into D fund. A and D.
I'm sorry,
can't go
I'm sorry, not, it wasn't DA, wasn't it DB, it came, or the
Yes.
B fund, it came out of the B fund.
Yes, you have an interfund transfer from B and an interfund transfer from DB.
Yeah, but I'm
That's
talking
what's
about,
covering the bills. That's what's covering the B fund.
yeah, but I'm talking about the fact that you have in here that you want us, that Dale wants $210,000
Mm-hmm.
for 5110-400, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we determined that this year he only spent 50,000, and he said because he stopped spending. Okay, so this year, $150,000 will stay in the DB fund, and it will go down into fund balance because we taxed everybody for 210,000, but he only spent 50. So we've collected that 210, but we only spent 50 of it. So a little more than 150,000 is going to go into fund balance at the end of this year. And we decided we would take that and put it into here to cover, if he wants the 210, we were gonna take it out of the fund balance and use it. We were not gonna tax people a second year in a row for the same amount of money that we didn't use, since we've already used it.
We're not taxing B and DB this year. To pay for the B and DB, we're pulling the money out of the fund balance. We're taxing A because we need to build up for the equipment line. That's the way the budget was set up. We have too much money in the B fund, in the fund balance. There's $604,000 in the fund balance. State says you have too much money in B fund. Well, how much are we allowed to have? We can't tell you how much, but you have too much in the B fund. That's the way the comptroller's office works. So we pulled 200,000 out of the B fund to cover the B taxes in the DB. And we pulled out of DB. We
So
need to
where's
build up
that?
the A fund.
Where's that?
Oh, right here, 200,
No, I see it on there. Where is it on the,
page 2.
yeah, I don't see 200,000 on there coming out. Where is that?
No, that's not showing it. This is the proposed budget. This is what's estimated fund balance. These are the estimated balances that's on there.
So out of the 604 that's left, you're moving, but that doesn't account what you're getting this year.
This year. What do you mean?
You're dropping another, you're gonna drop a minimum, if assuming that the numbers are close to correct, you're gonna drop a minimum of another 150,000 into fund balance.
How would we drop 150 in the fund balance?
Because we budgeted 210 and he only used 150, I'm sorry, he only used 50, that's gonna be another $50,000 that's gonna show up in the highway fund. Right?
Use 60, they're estimating 64, 65, right? Okay, so, yeah, there'll be 100, some money will go back into the DB fund, yes, you're correct.
Scott, can you go back on the summary page on the front? Under the DB revenues, the 532, is that's everything without the 146 of fund balance, is that correct?
Yeah, that appears to be correct, yes.
So that includes the 200.
Yeah. My math's not that quick, but I think so, yes.
Okay, well, that one's here nor there, I guess. So your taxes are still changing. They're still going down by 18 cents. They're not going up to $4.40, which is what we were told.
I don't know about that.
Well, that's what this says.
Do I see the spreadsheet?
I'm happy to send her mine. Clearly, there's no way you can have a $3.7 million budget and then go to 4.4 million. Clearly, there's something wrong in the calculation. Because you can't. We didn't add any. We just said move 300 from here to here.
Well, be that as it may, I still think we need to leave it in DA.
Then I gotta know why.
There's a lot of changes we want to make to this, but she's come back and said, don't change anything until you get hard numbers, until you know what you're doing. Because we're going to have to amend this anyways, because our numbers are probably
Well, is
off.
she going to be available then this week? Because I think we need a call with her, because
Yeah.
that's just whether your actual spending has nothing to do with what I am talking about right now. I am not talking about reducing the amount of snow plowing. I'm not talking about adding or subtracting from anybody's budget other than taking it out of one line and moving it to another line. And I'd like her to tell us then how did she get $4.40 when, because there were even in here you can see there were changes made that were not asked for. Nobody said take all the fund balance out of the B fund and charge them even more. Nobody said to take away the 146,000 out of there. So I don't understand why those changes were made. It was a simple move from one line to another.
That's gotta be voted on the 7th, right?
The public hearing. It's gotta be made tentative preliminary first.
Yeah.
And then there's the public hearing is the 7th. It has to be.
I don't.
How's the public gonna have any questions? They're not gonna even see the budget.
I'd like to call her tomorrow and just ask her to explain her spreadsheet to me, because I just don't understand. I don't understand how she could have got what she got.
You gotta give the public at least a day or two to look at the budget.
Well, I definitely would put it on the website as soon as I get it. But,
But we're not gonna approve it until the 7th, right? And then
well, the notice is already in the paper that there would be a public hearing on what the salaries are for the elected officials. So that's been done. But it's just a matter, I would have the, preliminary, or the preliminary budget in my office for people to stop and pick it up. Or we would, I'd have it online.
Kathleen, you said that we should give the public a day or two before we have a public hearing on this.
I mean, ideally, but you also have to have the public hearing.
Right.
Here.
Yeah, I know you showed it before. Yeah.
I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. I think that doesn't pertain to what I'm talking about. When we're talking about reducing the contractual expenses for the supervisor, I understand what you're saying. You need to see the actual numbers where we are. Good numbers to start with do not help us to make the budget decision on that line. So that does hold true for some of the things we're saying here, but not for this, because we are not changing any numbers. We're just changing the line item.
I'd have to see the numbers to agree with that before I would agree to the changing it over, because if it's gonna be doubled the taxes, wherever she come up with the $4.
I'm going to
wouldn't
call
do
her
that to
tomorrow
them.
and
I
just
wouldn't do
ask her
that
if
to the
she can
people outside.
explain it to me, because I think that somewhere she's got a
If
glitch
we
in her
move it from
software.
DA to, DB, to DB, we have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make those taxes up in B. We have to make
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Your taxes will be,
Yeah.
well, first of all,
The taxes aren't gonna go down. Taxes will go up.
no,
How can they not go up?
because you're
Linda's math is correct. Linda's math is correct.
Mhm.
I've done it. I've sat here and done it. Linda's math is correct.
So
She can
Kathy,
too.
what be the
There's a
problem?
mistake on what Scott shared.
What's your opinion about moving it? Do you think there's a problem there?
It's not a legal opinion. It's really up to you guys.
What's your personal opinion? I know.
Well, I shouldn't be giving personal opinions. Legally, in terms of the budget, it doesn't matter. You can move it, you can leave it. But Linda's numbers are correct.
So if Linda's number is correct, what's the position of why we wouldn't do it, Scott?
Cause I was advised not to do it this year
By
But-
who?
by the accountant.
But she's advising.
Linda, I
you to
understand
treat the
you've said this already.
Well, I have a right to say it for the
You do,
public
but
that's
my
sitting here.
mind's made up.
So here's my problem. We've got an accountant that's sitting in Syracuse telling us how to do a budget and how to tax our taxpayers here in Shelby. That's not her call to make. That's our call to make.
She's not making that call.
Well, if you don't want to make a change, because she said don't make a change, and she doesn't want to see the outside funds, the outside.
No, now you're changing what I said. She advised me on how to do stuff, and when you guys wanted to move this over, I told her, run another budget, we need to change all these things and see what, granted, there may have been a mistake,
Well, there was a big one.
and we can run it again, but, this isn't her making decisions, this is me making
Well,
decisions.
you just
after
said you were
guys
advised
said-
not to make any changes.
Okay, I may have spoke wrong. Certain things we shouldn't change.
All right, well, I just think it's not fair to the taxpayers in Shelby that live inside the village. They're still in the town of Shelby, and we have to treat them like they are.
I don't have a
Part
problem
of
with
us.
anything you're saying. I just think, like Eddie was saying, if we had the accountant explain, and if Kathy's saying your numbers are correct, I want to hear the accountant explain how she came up with those other figures.
I do too, so I'm gonna call her tomorrow and try to ask her if she can explain to me how, because maybe maybe she knows something I don't know about why there were some other changes made. But if you make the changes, if we made just what we talked about, just the 300, that sheet is correct.
Okay. The 300, what,
The 300, if we move the
I don't
300,
think there's
there's
any
no
way we
plowing.
could vote on that now without hearing her explanation.
Should she be available on Wednesday?
I'll call her tomorrow morning, if we can rerun the budget, maybe, we might be able to have a meeting tomorrow night.
Not tomorrow night, the election,
Oh, yeah, Wednesday.
Wednesday night, the 6th, and then we can change the 7th, we'll have to hit the public hearing, right?
We have a meeting the 6th. If we needed another meeting.
Oh, you've already scheduled?
Yeah.
Well, we did last time we
Yeah.
were together.
Yeah.
Kathy, what
Yeah.
what is the situation for us that if we make, I don't want to keep this budget from the public
Right.
any longer. So what if we agree to certain changes tonight and they get made and then we pass that so that it can be preliminary, we can still then have a call with Tina on Wednesday, or we have to wait until after the public hearing, right, to make changes? Like,
Yeah,
can the
you can
board,
make changes after the public hearing.
okay, so then maybe we'll have to have a call with Tina on Friday or Thursday after the public hearing.
Yeah, after the public hearing.
Maybe she's makes herself available and we have it, and you can ask her then.
Right. I think we need to hear from her for sure, definitely.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
We can, we
I
may
do
have,
think it's
Wanna take
important
that and that?
to get the budget to the public, so.
Yeah.
what I'll have her do is I'll have her run a new budget tomorrow. And, rerun that numbers, the numbers that you were talking about, Linda, and figure out what the hell, where it went wrong. But, let me go over this, just to make.
And then we're gonna still meet the 6th then, correct?
Wednesday.
Yeah, we can.
We'll have
do
to.
that. Yeah, Okay.
You already notified about possible meeting on the 6th.
It's on the website,
So what are we meeting on the 6th for?
in case we needed to meet, if we didn't make the,
Oh, because we have, no,
if we don't make the tentative preliminary, we said if we needed another meeting, it would be on the 6th.
which means the public won't get it until the night of the 6th or the 7th, and then they're.
The public hearing is the 7th.
So if you
And
do
it-
it the 6th, then they'll have it that night. You're gonna get it, right?
We can just make copies,
Yeah.
and then the next night is the public hearing.
Kathy, can we vote on something tonight with the understanding that here's a list of changes that are gonna be made? I don't like to do that, but I really don't wanna give the public the budget at 9 o'clock on Wednesday night.
No, but I can, first thing
If-
tomorrow
if-
morning, I can have it reprinted with the changes on it.
Yeah, but we still
Or
haven't
if someone
voted yet.
wants, right, if someone wants to handwrite in the changes tonight, you could do
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
So we're good with all the changes, we're just waiting here on the DA, the snow removal? Right?
Everything else is good.
Am
on
I
the
correct,
budget.
am I correct on this?
No, we haven't gotten through, can we get to the water? We didn't, I stopped at the snow removal, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Can we move on to the water? So in the new one that you just gave us again today,
Uh-huh.
I recognize the fact that we don't have actuals, so there's some concern about making changes and wanting to stay more conservative. I'm still not understanding why, if we fixed all the leaks, why would we not at least be covering? I mean, the water comes in, right, and it immediately goes to a house. We only pay for what's getting used. So how is it that we would not be, at least, we should be making $2.40 or $2.30 per
Yeah.
1,000 gallons? So how come we're budgeting less revenue than we're actually
Okay.
purchasing?
District 1, you got, what's non-metered sales? Is that like water lost?
No, sales of equipment, anything we have to sell to the public.
Wait a minute, wasn't that also, I wrote down
No.
debt service, the debt service money that's being collected is the unmetered
That's
water
non-metered.
sales. That's what I wrote down from the last meeting, is that not correct? That's what I put.
Okay, you add that to the metered sales is 59,000. And we're paying for source of supply 69,000. How can that be?
Well, that, no, you want to look at just the total. You don't want to include, if that
Oh, yeah.
unmetered water sales is either equipment or the debt service, that has nothing to do with what we're purchasing.
Yeah, that's dead service.
Just look at the two lines.
Okay, that's 45.
If we're paying 69.5 to buy water in District 1,
Right.
we should at least be collecting 69. You should be collecting $2.40 more, 40% more.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I agree, some of these water districts are
why-
upside down.
So, yeah, but that's not being upside down. That's like, I want to understand, why would we only be budgeting for 45? Why are we not putting in there at least 69.5? I mean, it should be more than that.
These are actual sales up top.
Yeah, but last year, don't forget, last year you said we had all those leaks that we fixed.
Yes.
So if the
we did.
leaks are all fixed and we don't have any more,
Right.
we should be selling what we're buying.
We should be, yes.
So why would
But
we not?
we're still, well, there's not as much. We're still purging, right? Or flushing. We're still flushing.
Flushing, but,
Do we charge the fire department for water?
yeah, they got a meter.
Okay.
Not if they take it out of the hydrant. They get it out of the fire hall. They got a meter in the fire hall.
Did they have a hydrant
Yeah.
now?
Well, if there's a fire.
Looking what page you're on.
Oh, I'm on page 14.
Right, so with respect to revenues, right, revenues aren't taxed. This isn't tax money.
Yep.
It's based on water rates.
Right.
And based on the number of homes and the usage in each district. So I think what has to happen here in order to turn these water districts around, and I don't think we're in a position to figure it out before you pass this budget, but I think it needs to be figured out, is what should the water rate be? Right? I think we're gonna need to get into that and see how and if water rates need to change.
You mean increase them?
Yeah.
Potentially, yeah, I don't,
Well, you should, if the leaks are all fixed and there were some pretty, it sounded like we leaked quite a bit of water.
There's like 24, 25 million gallons.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, so that should be a huge cost savings.
And I'm thinking, I can't remember off the top of my head, these numbers,
Excuse me.
supply is what we spent.
That's what I have written down, that's what we purchased from the village.
In history, I'm thinking, and it would be different this year because we don't have. These numbers are probably from 23. I don't remember off the top of my head. What is this water district? Source of supply control.
I mean, again,
Well, that's an estimate
whether you,
because it was 73 and
then
Okay.
what we buy and what we sell should be the same.
should be.
So
Yeah,
it
I
should
agree.
be, it doesn't really matter if we say we're buying 50,000 gallons or 5 million gallons. If we only buy what we're selling, right?
And then we're adding on.
Once it
240.
crosses our meter, it goes right to a household.
Right.
So
And this has been going on for years like this.
well, that's because there's been leaks apparently, but now you don't have that. If you don't have leaks, you should at least be matching the same number. I mean, there should be revenue, but you need to find out really, you need to know how much are you flushing in each district so that we can then take that into account, that we have to reduce our revenues by that much, right, per district. But right now, you should be at least covering what you're buying.
Yep.
So why aren't we putting the revenue in District 1 at 69.5?
Right. At least that.
Did she leave us? Kathy, are you still there? Or did you leave us?
no, I'm still here. I
Oh.
got up and walked out to the kitchen to get something to drink because metered sales are based on water rates. So I don't know that you are bringing, so if this is all actual, is that what you're saying, Scott? So typically what you bring in from District 1 is 45,000?
Yes.
Of just what you've sold, I'm sorry, Kathy,
Typically in the past,
Right.
just what you've sold,
Sold.
right? To the end user.
Yes.
Okay, but if we had 27 million gallons of leaks last year, that would affect that you're not buying and selling the same number. But if we don't
then
have
I
leaks,
would reduce the expenses, not the revenue.
either one. I mean, if
Right, if you think you're gonna buy less because you fixed the leaks, I would
Right.
change the expenses. I don't know that
It should
you
be
can
the
change
same.
Should
the
be the
revenue
same.
without changing water rates.
It should be.
yeah, yes, I'm just saying the two numbers should be the same.
About every district is the same. District 4B, metered sales 23.5.
1, 4A, and 4B are the problems.
And then sources supply contractual, what we paid for 40,000 is almost double.
Mm-hmm.
How could that be?
Past water leaks. You're correct. We don't have any leaks now. We just got that report this year. Dale had them run it. It was this summer. And as of now, the town has no leaks.
District 10, they pretty crowd, 10.5 with 10,000. District 11.
So, okay, so let's say we leave it, so when we get to 4A, we're saying that we're taking on this budget, to balance the budget, you're taking almost $40,000 out of fund balance.
Mhm.
But there is no fund balance. You're already negative, so you can't go more negative. I mean, I'm not sure we could pass a budget like that. Because there isn't anything in fund balance to take. And the same with 4B. So we clearly know if we leave everything the way it is, and I mean, you have to figure out something with the rates in those districts, I guess. But if we leave it the way it is, we're gonna overdraw in those districts, and you can't take money from anywhere else to put in there. So, and as it is, we've got $40,000 in 4A, and we're taking 35,000 in B. We're taking almost $80,000 that we don't have.
Now, where's 4A and 4B? Anybody know?
Oh, let me see. Did I write those down on the list?
Shelby, like Shelby Road and Millville area.
Hold on, I wrote it down on one.
I don't think I have.
Map of the
Yeah, I had it written
district.
down on one of them that he gave us.
Which one? East Shelby for 4A.
Yeah, but
I don't have anything for 4B.
So Kathy, how do we do that?
I don't know.
Because I mean, because clearly we're gonna have to, money's gonna have to get put into those two districts from someplace. If we can't take it from another district or the general fund, we either can borrow it from the general fund, but that's got to be paid back by the end of the year, which means we'll have to look at the rates like right away and make that change right away. Or we have to take a loan in those districts. Oh, I need a copy.
It's old, it doesn't have the new
Oh.
water district on, but it's got all of the other ones.
yeah, it's 31 and down into Millville and up County House, Dresser Road.
That's probably another
4A.
question for Tina.
The only ones that are negative are 4A and 4B.
Right.
And then 4B is down East Shelby Road. All the way.
Those are the two that are negative fund balance. The rest have enough fund balance to cover their.
Assuming they don't go negative, assuming somebody doesn't use more than what they have this year when we close
Yeah.
this year.
11, 21,
Make a copy.
8.
Like
Yeah.
number 2, no, number 7. Sorry, my glasses are. 7 only has 19,000 in fund balance at the end of. Oh wait a minute, hold on, wrong year. It's only got 3,000. 8 has only got 3,000. At the end of this year, they could very well be negative, since we don't know where we are.
That's what I don't understand is why in the past 10 years nobody's fixed any of this stuff. That just perplexes me. Either they didn't know about it or.
They just didn't understand the financials enough when you look at them.
I mean, when you think about it, it's not an excuse, but there's not been a lot of consistency, right? In the past, I don't know, however many years, right? You've had a number of different supervisors, so I agree. I don't think people either didn't understand the financials or just didn't look at it. And I think somebody made the point during the last meeting, have it up, you just go by the previous year, right? Maybe tweak it, maybe you don't. I think this is the first time it's been really looked at in a while.
Okay, so what are you saying, Linda? You want to make it the preliminary tonight? With
I,
the option,
I don't know, because I'm not comfortable with the,
I think you ought to talk to Tina first, see what she's saying, right?
okay, so let's look at 4A, right? If you go to page 17. So if you look at the difference between metered sales and what we're buying, it's about a $30,000 difference, which is almost what we're taking out of the fund balance. So I guess I'd want to know, we must have numbers for the last quarter of billing. What did,
I'm sure Beth would have them, yeah.
yeah, if Beth can tell us, what did we buy from the village in each of these districts, and what did we sell? Are we, so that we can take that, and it's not going to be exact, but it'll give us a starting point and we can look at at least we'll see if we fixed the leaks, if we're buying and selling the same amount, I guess, in the districts. But I'm not sure you can pass a budget with a negative, because you can't go negative in your fund balance.
Well, if we don't pass it, it just falls back to the
Last year's budget.
tentative or last year's budget. That's state law. If we don't pass a budget, it goes back.
No, I'm not saying don't pass it. I'm saying we got to do something. We're going to have to figure out, we're
Yeah.
going to have to borrow money. Or you're going to take a loan, if you take a loan from the A fund, you can do that, but it's got to be paid back, to my understanding, from what the state told me. It's got to be paid back, like it's a short-term thing. You got to pay it back by the end of the year. So we could borrow to cover this, but that means, like, in December, we need to come up with new water rates for those districts if they're not covering their expenses.
Need to figure out the source of supply contractual.
Yeah, I guess I'd want to see.
See how much of a difference that actually is.
That's right. Are we selling now what we're buying? That will make a big difference, because right now, part of the reason we're using so much fund balance is because we're saying we're going to buy a lot more than we're actually using.
Yeah, and I don't think that's right.
Have we met with the village on, any rate adjustments or lately?
Not really lately, no. Kathy was doing some research on some stuff they sent us. Okay.
That's on this month's list of things for me to look at.
Source of supply.
I guess I'd want to know from the state, what is our option? I guess the option is you'll have to figure out and raise the rates in order to cover and it might only be for a year until we figure out, I don't know, but you can't be negative. Because what that means is we are taking money from other districts to pay
Right.
these bills, and we can't do
Not
that.
supposed to do that, it's against the law.
Wondering if we get the royalty water running, maybe that will help.
Now we got too long to go on that. You got to do pressure tests, and studies, and all that.
Is it gonna reach 4A and 4B though?
Where is 4A and 4B?
East Shelby Road, Dresser Road?
Yeah, you got to figure it's got to help the districts that are in trouble.
Yeah.
And it isn't going to help if I forget, if you're buying it at $3, selling it at $1.50. Right now you're making $2.40 profit on the water, right?
Mhm.
But if you buy from Shelby, or I'm sorry, from Ridgeway, oh my
Royalton.
God, sorry, Royalton. If you buy from Royalton and you reduce your profit margin, that's not going to help you. Yeah, I mean, you could buy from them and leave your price the same, and now you're making up this difference.
Yeah.
But if you buy from them and drop it instead of buying it
You're not gonna make
buying
that-
it free and selling it at 450, you're gonna make it worse. You're gonna make this worse
Difference up.
because it's about the profit margin, not about the dollars that what we're buying it for, right? It's how much are we making on it. And we're not making enough to cover the expenses in those districts.
So are we gonna meet, Wednesday, 6 p.m.?
Can Tina have all these changes made by Wednesday?
She'll probably have it done tomorrow. If she's, I don't know what's up with her surgery or whatever she.
Somebody else in her office should be
Yeah.
able to do it.
She'll be on Zoom Wednesday?
Well, she planned on being here tonight, but.
And and I think she needs to so that we can wrap this
Yeah.
up.
Wednesday. So I'll tell her Wednesday, 6 p.m.
But we can give her the things we've already discussed so that those are all done.
That's all.
If we can,
All those yellow ones that we went over, okay.
And then have her rerun the snow numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, right? I know my number. I know my calculation is correct. I'd tell you if I was not sure. But if you guys are definitely going to vote against it, no matter what the numbers are, there's no sense in having her do it.
If the numbers are good, I'll
if
vote
you-
for it.
oh no, if the numbers are good,
Yeah,
I'll go
If the
for
numbers
it.
are good, I'll vote
I
for it.
just wouldn't go for it if it was gonna raise it $2.50 or $4.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was fair to the people outside the village. But if it,
So I'm comfortable. My numbers are right.
if she tells us, if she tells me, or if she tells us that it's gonna be 18 cents like you're saying, I'm good with that. I just
Okay.
wasn't good with it when she come back out
So-
and said it was $4 and some cents, because
Yeah.
I'm going, it's not fair for our people outside the village.
Well, because they not only did they increase, I don't know what happened. But they not only did they add 650, but they took away using fund balance, and they did all kinds of other things rather than just move the money. So I'm not sure what happened, but it doesn't really matter, I guess, as long as she reruns it.
Numbers, 8320 source of supply contractual for the water district, rerun, snow numbers, and we're planning on Wednesday, 6 p.m.
Yes.
Do you mind reading off the questions you've got for her?
Run the new numbers again.
Can we
Ask her
review the?
about,
I'm sorry. Can we review the
8320 source
changes?
of supply contractual and the water districts, rerun the snow numbers, and let her know at 6 p.m. on Wednesday.
Can we review the changes one more time that we? So we're
The 750 was good on page 6. Supervisor services went from 26.5 to 26.946. 7,000 on supervisor contractual. We dropped that. 7,000. Okay. 110 on buildings contractual. The 16 on cemetery services. Page 8 was 9,500 for youth programs. 4,000 for planning contractual. That was it, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. One other question I came up with the equipment reserve, DA 5130-210. It's on page 9, second expense down. Why did we have that so high?
Page 9. We added the 100, so that's 187. That was paying off the other half was paying off the truck, I think that was whether we bond it or we come up with cash on that.
Okay, but that we said was like 165,000 for the plow and the.
Yeah, 167
Right.
something, yeah.
Okay, so we still got 170,000 extra in there, 160,000 in there. Why so much extra?
I don't have my notes on that. I'll go get those notes.
Because I understand trying to build a reserve, but I don't want to build it in 1 year.
No, it was only, I think what she said was, I think she was we were planning on paying off the truck. I'll get.
I think maybe what we did that was because we thought we were gonna pay for the truck out of this, the balance, but we've already come up with the money for that, so I'm wondering
That could have been,
why this wouldn't be the 170 and then another, 80,000 or something for a reserve and drop that. So like 250 total. So we're starting to put some money away, but we're not doing it all in one.
Would you say 250?
Well, yeah, because if you're figuring the 170 for the plow and the box, right?
Yeah.
And if you put another 80 in for a reserve, that's 250. So
312.
from 312, you'd be dropping $62,000.
Okay.
Unless there's some other reason. I think maybe originally we had thought we were going to pay for the truck out of that too, but we've already covered the truck.
Why? Yeah, I got it. It's written down on my other. Okay, so that's on there. So we run the numbers. The source of supply on water districts. Rerun the snow numbers 1. Equipment reserve. Why is it at? It was 250. And Wednesday 6 p.m. And these changes tomorrow to put in there.
There's no way we can do this tomorrow. I know it's election day, but if we're in here and not over there, can we not do it tomorrow? I just don't want to give this budget to people
Well, we
with a
could
12-hour.
we can actually meet tomorrow if she can get it done. There's no reason we can't, because we're over here.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Can't we
I
just?
have till 9. I can't. Till 10 to 9. I can't be here past that.
Yeah, I can be here
Will somebody be available from
by 5.
the LGSS?
I'll have to find out in the morning. If she's working, I don't see why she wouldn't be here.
There are not a lot of changes. It should take 10 minutes.
You thinking 5 p.m. tomorrow?
I can be here by 5.
That'd be good.
I don't care. I just want to know which day we're
I
going to do
can't be
it.
here till about probably 5:30, 6 o'clock.
No, we can start without you. I don't care.
You can do that?
No, I'm not doing that. But we can start without you.
You're not here at all tomorrow?
I am here tomorrow, but I have an appointment after work.
Okay, but can't you set that up so it's ready to go?
I can try, but then you have to set up for the YouTube and then set up the,
Well, can't we get that all set up and just open the meeting and Kathy can just join us whenever? Can we do that, Kathy? Are we using your Zoom?
It'll probably be Tina's. Either one of the two. Kathy, can you do that Microsoft meeting stuff?
Yeah, I can do Microsoft Teams.
Okay. Yeah, Teams. That's what it is.
And could we?
I don't do Teams. That's a different thing according to Joe.
Yeah, Joe says that Teams is a
It's more
different
complicated.
setup.
I don't want to do that.
Do you have Zoom?
So I can send a Zoom link. I can send a Zoom link to
Yeah.
Tina. If
Yeah,
that,
that's fine.
if that makes life easier.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
You
not a
wanna do
problem.
6?
So if we did that, what time are you leaving here tomorrow?
I gotta leave here like shortly after 4.
So if we got it, could Darlene start it at 4 before she leaves, and then you just join, and then the meeting will start when you join? Like, would she be able to, like, initiate the meeting on our end so that it's all set up?
I don't see why not.
And then
It won't start till.
I
it
guess.
won't start
Yeah.
till you get on, right? All right, worst case scenario, I guess we'll figure something out.
Okay.
Yeah, I think yeah, you'll have to.
So what are we doing? 5:30 or 6?
5.
I would do 5.
Okay,
5.
5 p.m.
Tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
What is tomorrow?
This is for the
Good.
other room, right? Not this room.
Oh, that's for this room.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'll get a hold of her first thing in the morning.
All right.
Yeah, one more thing, I was wondering, I sent an email out the other day about access to the. What's entailed to do that, what can I do, get it on my phone or?
No, it's on a thumb drive. It won't go on a phone.
So nobody else in a board gets remotely?
Yeah, but he should be able to come in and look through the videos because
I can put him on
don't
a thumb drive, yeah, anything
think-
he wants.
No access to the,
No,
I think he's access to the system, I
The
think is
system.
what he's saying.
Yeah, I don't, okay, you can, but I don't think it's really complicated to pain in the butt.
No. We'll figure it out.
We could try to do it tomorrow. I wouldn't mind seeing it, how it works. After the meeting, we could
Yeah, sounds good.
figure it out. All right,
You good, Kath?
Kathy, can you do tomorrow
I'm
at
good.
5? I have to ask her.
I think so. I think that works for me.
Alrighty.
I have something at 7:30, but we should hopefully be done by then.
Oh, God, I hope so. Okay.
All right, thanks. Night, Kathy.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You want me to shut this off, darling?